Welcome to WHRO's Weekly Edition. I'm Jordan Christie. We highlight the week's news and stories happening all over Hampton roads. In this week's program, a wares shop in Williamsburg has served as a touchstone to residents and visitors with ties to Scotland and Ireland. Its unique Celtic items have kept business rolling for over 5 decades.
They want to know some little tidbit about the past and the community and make a connection to that in some meaningful way.
Investigators have renewed hope in a 4-decade-old Chesapeake cold case after a fresh lead sparked a sense of urgency and optimism. And an artist known for her fun one-of-one holiday show in Hampton made the jump over to Williamsburg to delight residents over the end of the holiday season. It's WHRO's Weekly Edition. Gun homicide rates in Virginia are equal to the national average. That's according to a new study from the state. But as WHRO's Toby Cox reports, the violence is mainly concentrated in just a few cities, including those in Hampton Roads.
The report from Virginia's Joint Legislative Audit and Research Committee shows more than a quarter of all the state's gun-related homicides took place in 4 Hampton Roads cities: Norfolk, Portsmouth, Newport News, and Hampton. While gun-related homicide rates have decreased in most of the cities from their pandemic-era peak in 2022, Newport News has seen an increase of 18%. The state report says community gun violence can cause mental health conditions like PTSD among youth, negatively affect the local economy, and make it harder for schools in these areas to recruit and retain staff. The report suggests expanding access to violence reduction programs and increasing funding to localities with higher gun violence rates. Toby Cox, WHRO News.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth was in Newport News this week railing against the high cost of building ships. WHRO military reporter Steve Walsh has the story from Newport News Shipbuilding.
Hegseth told a crowd of shipbuilders in front of the future submarine Oklahoma that the Trump administration was focused on cost overruns at Newport News Shipbuilding.
We're holding your leadership accountable. We're holding your leadership feet to the fire. Their jobs are on the line to ensure that you can deliver what America needs, that your craftsmanship is unleashed.
The secretary toured the future carrier John F. Kennedy, which is a year behind schedule. The Trump administration has its own expensive plans. The Congressional Research Office estimates that a new battleship would cost $13 billion. Steve Walsh, WHRO News.
A proposed federal rule could exclude nursing from the list of professional degrees. WHRO's health reporter Yi-Ching Wang says it would cut the amount of student loans graduate nursing students can access in half.
Lindsay Cardwell is the chief executive officer of the Virginia Nurses Association. She says capping loans at about $20,000 a year could deter nurses from pursuing advanced degrees required for high-demand roles like nurse practitioners and nursing faculty.
If we decrease access to federal loans for graduate nursing programs, we're going to decrease the pipeline of all registered nurses. This will impact the health care that we receive across all the systems and within our communities.
Nursing experts have sounded the alarm about a lack of faculty limiting training of new nurses for the workforce. The Department of Education says the loan caps are meant to curb graduate debt and would not affect most nursing students. Yi-Ching Wang, WHRO News.
This week marked 5 years since the attack on the U.S. Capitol, where supporters of Donald Trump tried to stop certification of the 2020 presidential election. 88 people from Virginia were charged for participating, according to an NPR database. WHRO's Michelle Hankerson reports.
62 Virginians involved in the January 6th riot received a full pardon on President Donald Trump's first day in office in 2025. They included Robert Keith Packer of Newport News, who was seen in videos wearing a shirt that read Camp Auschwitz. 23 of the 88 people from the Commonwealth had ties to the military, according to NPR's database. Trump pardoned 19 of them, and federal courts dismissed charges against the 4 others. Trump pardoned more than 1,000 people across the U.S. related to the Capitol riots. He said in 2025 the action was the beginning of a process of national reconciliation. Michelle Hankerson, WHRO News.
A beloved Williamsburg business has been selling Celtic wares for 55 years. WHRO's Nick McNamara reports it's helped residents and visitors with ties to Scotland and Ireland connect with their heritage along the way.
Fall and winter are busy seasons for many retailers, including Scotland House in Williamsburg's Merchant Square. The colder temperatures make the store's selection of Scottish worsted wool and Irish tweed a convincing purchase. Some shoppers, however, such as Amy Miller, see it as an opportunity to connect to a region she adores.
I want to move there.
Miller says Scotland House sparks fond memories of when her son was studying for his master's degree in Wales.
And we spent a lot of time in Ireland and Scotland, and we're just obsessed with the place.
It's a sentiment manager Alan Stello hears often. He started with Scotland House in 2020 when he moved his family to Williamsburg from Charleston, South Carolina. Stello says aside from sales, the work feels similar to what he did as a director of the Powder Magazine Museum.
Very culture-driven between tweeds hand-woven in Scotland, family history and names. And when people would visit the museum I used to work at, same kind of thing. They want to know some little tidbit about the past and the community and make a connection to that in some meaningful way.
Created in 1970, Scotland House is known for its tweed, a twilled wool fabric likely originating in rural Scotland and Ireland, as well as its tartan kilts and other imported products. Like tweed, tartans have deep Scottish roots, but only in the last few hundred years have specific patterns come to be associated with clans and families. Now tartans are registered for Irish counties, U.S. states, and even public safety agencies. But Stello and staff find many visitors are looking for a piece of themselves.
Kind of reaching to that self-actualization where you're trying to find something a little more about you, or maybe one of your grandmother's lines that you didn't know before. And it's fun to be in a small way part of that.
Stello says the store can feel like a neighborhood pub in the way conversations about family often pour out of guests when he stops to help.
A lot of times people will find something in the store that they like. Other times they just say, well, I really would like to have a kilt, or I'd really like to have a lady shawl or something like that. And we just custom order. We have swatch books from the weavers that do the work in Scotland.
Family is what helped Will Hicks, visiting from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, through the door.
My mother's maiden name is Bean. She talks a lot about wanting to sort of connect with those Irish roots a little bit. So to see this MacBean tartan here, I was like, I'm going to get this and bring it back for her.
A significant number of Ulster Scots, Scottish people who emigrated to Northern Ireland, made their way to the colonies, including Virginia. Scottish-born people were also prominent in 18th century Williamsburg, from Royal Governor John Dunmore to Declaration of Independence publisher and newspaperman Alexander Purdy. With that in mind, Stello says Scotland House can also be a midpoint between personal and early American history, fitting nicely into the environment created by nearby colonial Williamsburg.
I had a history professor say one time that the truth is America's not really a melting pot. It's actually a bag of mixed nuts. We're all here together, but we have these different cultures we get to borrow from and use and enjoy. And I think that's something very special and very American.
Nick McNamara, WHRO News.
Still ahead on Weekly Edition, a retired Hampton school superintendent was nominated for Secretary of Education this week. But first, Virginia Beach schools will stop reporting class rank on transcripts to align with existing policy. WHRO's John Doucette brings us the latest.
Division policy says class rank should not be reported on transcripts, though it can be released when needed. In October, a parent notified the school board that rank was appearing on transcripts. She stated that might impact students competing for colleges when other places don't use it. This month, school board chairperson Kathleen Brown read part of an email from the division, saying it will adhere to the board's policy. Brown says it's important for the public to understand the issue is being addressed.
I think that it's fair for the community to know exactly what it is that our division is going to be doing.
Going forward, class rank will be removed from transcripts and provided when requested. John Doucette, WHRO News.
Officials hope a fresh lead can help them resolve the cold case of a man whose skeletal remains were found in Chesapeake 42 years ago. WHRO's Toby Cox breaks down the state of the case.
The John Doe's remains were found on November 19th, 1983, in a wooded area at the end of Happy Acres Road. For decades, the case has gone unresolved. Then, this past year, law enforcement got a lead. Detective Allison Robert with the Chesapeake Police Department says for the first time, they were able to extract enough DNA from one of the bones to connect the remains to the man's biological father and mother.
The biggest struggle now is just that there is kind of a race against time.
The people most likely to remember him are aging. Robert says they learned the mother, now in her 80s, put an infant son up for adoption and says birth or adoption records are the most likely place for answers to the man's identity. Toby Cox, WHRO News.
Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger nominated a retired Hampton Schools superintendent to be her education secretary. WHRO's Nick McNamara reports.
Jeffrey Smith will lead Virginia's Department of Education after Spanberger takes office on January 17th. Smith's career spanned 32 years, much of it on the peninsula. He was Hampton's superintendent for 8 years before retiring in 2023, and in 2020 was named the Commonwealth's Superintendent of the Year. Before Hampton, Smith served in administrative roles for Newport News and Williamsburg James City County divisions. He worked as a consultant after 2023, studying the possibility of separating the Williamsburg and James City County Joint School District. He's also the executive director of Hampton's Virginia Air and Space Science Center and a pastor of a Richmond church. In a statement, Spanberger called Smith a champion for Virginia students who will work tirelessly on their behalf. Nick McNamara, WHRO News.
President Trump has railed against renewable energy, especially wind turbines. But for one county in eastern North Carolina, they're producing some real economic tailwinds. WFAE's Zachary Turner joined a middle school field trip to learn how windmills are transforming our coastal plains.
It's field trip day at Chewan County Middle School. Apex Clean Energy's Brian O'Shea receives 2 busloads of 6th graders at the Timber Mill Wind Project, just north of Edenton.
All right, everybody, welcome to Timber Mill Wind. Thanks for being here today.
The students gather around site manager Tyler Finley. After the obligatory 6-7 joke,
does anybody know how much power it's producing? It's on the paper.
700.
Wrong.
The children settle into their lesson, featuring Timber Mill's flagship turbine, Penelope, named after the local Revolutionary War activist Penelope Barker. The windmill is so tall that if you stood atop Charlotte's Wells Fargo Center, you could high-five the top of the blade.
Penelope is 591 feet tall to the tip of the blade when it's pointing straight up in the air. It's a 4.2 megawatt wind turbine, and it generates enough power each year to power about 1,000 homes.
But Penelope and her 44 sister turbines do a lot more for Chewan County than just keeping the lights on.
How much is taxes on it?
How much is taxes on it? Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know how to really answer that.
The answer, turns out, is a lot. The company paid $3 million in taxes this year, producing $750,000 in revenue for the county. That's no small amount, says County Commissioner Bob Kirby.
So the way you think about it, it's not so much the power that it's generating, it's the economic part of it.
It's an economic driver as far as the tax is concerned, for sure. They're the largest taxpayer in the county by far. By far.
As the students ride around the wind farm, math teacher Laura Tarnaski says the field trip had ulterior motives besides learning about clean energy.
We really want them to understand what's going on in their community, to see that there's jobs here and that they can stay in Chewan County and have a good job.
Chewan County is a small county with about 14,000 residents.
We have so much of our youth that are going to other places for jobs.
Right.
We want them to see what they have, the opportunities we have in this county.
The Timber Mill Wind Farm only employs 8 full-time staff members, but the turbines also benefit the farmers who lease their land and air rights to the company. Back at school, the 6th graders eat their lunch and debrief. Some are a little nervous to talk to a reporter, so they interview each other.
Say the microphone. What's your name? Egypt. Oh, Egypt Voice. What's your favorite part about the field trip? Seeing the windmills up close.
They're also applying what they learned at the wind farm. Jace Goodwin and Parker Nixon blow on miniature plastic fan blades.
So you keep them.
They're building a replica of the turbines out of a pencil, plastic fan, and a small motor. Nixon says this wasn't his first time near the turbines.
One day I was deer hunting right beside one, and all you heard was whoa, whoa, whoa.
So you could hear the blades spinning.
Yeah, it was cool.
Pedagogically, the trip was a success, in more ways than one.
Would you ever want to work at a wind farm?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like a pretty good job. It's going up there, working on this stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen videos of it too, like you can open a little hatch on the top, you can stay on the very top of it.
You wouldn't be scared to go all the way up there?
No. If I had a dresser of drawers when I got up there.
A dresser of drawers?
Yeah.
Next trip, he'll have to ask the windmill technician if they carry an extra set of briefs. I'm Zachary Turner.
Federal prosecutors are accusing Chesapeake's outgoing sheriff of violating federal corruption laws. WHRO's Yiqing Wang brings us the latest.
The Office of Special Counsel alleges Sheriff David Rosado violated the Hatch Act by using his official authority to influence the 2025 election. They say he pressured Sheriff's Office employees to contribute money, time, and labor to his campaign. The Washington Post reports this is the first time in at least a decade the federal ethics watchdog has brought this kind of disciplinary case against a state or local official. The complaint comes after Rosado's unsuccessful bid to hold onto his seat. He lost the Republican primary and later ran as a write-in candidate in the general election after leaving the Republican Party. He lost to the party's nominee, Wallace Chadwick. WHRO contacted the sheriff's office for comment but did not receive a response. Yiqing Wang, WHRO News.
Democrats in Richmond want to see Virginia expand its battery storage as the Commonwealth modernizes its power grid. But WVTF's Brad Kuttner reports critics fear the cost of the tech will fall on ratepayers long before they see savings in their monthly bills.
The ask, according to Democratic Delegate Rip Sullivan, is easy.
More and better energy storage is going to be required to get Virginia to where it needs to be with respect to affordable and a reliable energy grid.
To that end, he and fellow Democratic Senator Lamont Bagby will present legislation next week that sets new targets for power companies to implement battery storage. Here's Bagby.
It's about lowering costs, and this is what this legislative session will be much about.
Among the companies officials imagine this plan will rely on is Fluence. John Zoranchik is with the Arlington-based company. He says battery storage was once seen as unattainable, but innovation has helped bring down the once costly process of storing excess energy when it's cheap to be released when it's needed.
We've kind of taken and made something that was the Holy Grail into something that I think might be more like Tupperware. I guess we can store those leftovers so you don't have to throw them out.
Still, critics like Steve Hayner with the conservative Thomas Jefferson Institute say the costs may not outweigh the benefits.
Every dime of building this is going to come from the ratepayers. They're going to have to prove to me that it saved me that much money.
The bill proposals are not yet live, though battery storage was listed among Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger's affordability agenda, meaning some version is likely to land on her desk later this year. In Richmond, I'm Brad Kuttner.
Virginia is home to more national champion trees than any other state. WHRO's Catherine Hafner has more on the state's prized possessions.
Virginia Tech's Big Tree program does just what it sounds like. Program coordinator Eric Wiseman says they catalog and rank the state's biggest trees based on several measurements.
The trees that score the best are really tall and really girthy, and it helps to have some decent crown spread as well.
Champions are the largest documented trees of their species. There are more than 300 state champs, and almost a third of those have gone on to win the national title. Wiseman says these trees don't automatically get protected, but
if we can get people excited and curious about champion trees, then hopefully that excitement will carry over into the conservation and management.
He says anyone can nominate a big tree, and there might be one sitting right in your backyard. Catherine Hafner, WHRO News.
The VA announced a new clinic in Virginia Beach to handle Hampton Roads' growing veteran population. WHRO military reporter Steve Walsh has the details.
The Veterans Health Administration has signed a lease to build a new VA clinic across from the Norfolk Premium Outlets in Virginia Beach. Virginia Senators Tim Kaine and Mark Warner announced the lease has been signed for the $355 million project. The authority to build the clinic was secured as part of the PACT Act. The new clinic is projected to open in 2029. Hampton Roads has one of the largest and fastest growing veteran populations in the country. Efforts to build a new VA hospital have stalled in recent years. The VA has also struggled with hiring. The North Battlefield Clinic in Chesapeake opened in March and has not reached full staff as of the end of November. Steve Walsh, WHRO News.
An artist known for her holiday variety show in Hampton has made the jump to Williamsburg's airwaves. WHRO's Nick McNamara takes us there.
Her name's Mississippi, just Mississippi. She fronts Hampton-based band Tornado Bait, known for her creative costuming and troupe of paper bag-wearing fans she endearingly calls bagheads. Last May, she started work as a radio DJ, becoming the newest personality at classic rock and pop station WMBG.
Mississippi, 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 Mississippi. It's Mississippi, filling in for Greg Martin on 93.5 The Berg.
That never stops feeling validating, though. I will say that. I never stop getting geeked out about that thing.
Mississippi and Tornado Bait are holiday staples in Hampton. For 8 years, she's organized Hampton for the Holidays. It's a variety show hosted at the Hampton History Museum, featuring musical acts, acrobats, comedians, and magicians, among others. In 2025, she met WMBG owner Greg Granger and learned about his other ventures assisting people in need. It's when she decided to add radio to her repertoire, realizing
that's where I wanted to be.
The day starts early when Mississippi fills in for Greg Martin. Live at 8 a.m., she's at the station more than an hour early to prep.
I start getting this stuff straightened out. Thank God I was able to do a list the night before. I was in on Monday, so I went ahead and copied Wednesday's songs down, and then I take them home and kind of look at them. I could let them ride. I care too much. I can't let them ride.
Mississippi spends a lot of time thinking about what songs play during her shifts, and in what sequence. For her, everything has to mean something. It's the same philosophy she brings to her art.
I think I actually am so tragically sad or tormented sometimes that this is kind of how I get through it.
Mississippi is a survivor. She's been through assault, divorces, and recently won a battle with thyroid cancer. She grew up in a Virginia Beach Navy family. Her punk rock sensibilities and rebelliousness in her youth conflicted with her military-minded father. She left home at 12.
My dad was livid, though, about the rock and roll, the Guns N' Roses, this and that. I was a stereotypical young kid from Hampton Roads. I was a trope, and he couldn't handle that.
Mississippi found a home in the Southside punk scene, at times sleeping on rooftops or bandmates' couches. She picked up the nickname Mississippi, now her legal name, as a young bassist. She still credits Idle Edsel, leader of long-standing Norfolk punk band The Strap-Ons, for keeping her safe from the harder side of the scene.
I think they knew how toxic the rock and roll world was and wanted to shadow or protect me from that to some extent.
Mississippi played with a few other groups before moving to Ohio in 2001 with her now ex-husband. There, she met his mom, musician Linda Wisman, who she lovingly calls her outlaw.
To see Linda up there just hemming and hawing, just 3 chords, just everything I do to this day is based after that woman. Absolutely everything.
She brought that to Hampton in 2011 and created Tornado Bait in 2015. After playing at the Hampton History Museum a few times, she walked in one day in 2018 and asked to organize a holiday special. It's since become a tradition for the museum, and Mississippi, to her surprise. Now, Mississippi has a house and garage teeming with Christmas supplies for the show, and like with radio, she brings a DIY spirit, care, and attention to detail to the production.
If I wanted to be lazy, I could say, I'm done with all my work. Until the show is over, this doesn't stop.
And she wouldn't have it any other way.
It brings the best out of everybody. I feel like I've made my mother proud. I feel like I've made a show that Iggy Pop and my mom can go to, and that's all I ever wanted.
Nick McNamara, WHRO News.
You've been listening to WHRO's Weekly Edition. We had help today from WHRO's Toby Cox, I-Ching Wang, Steve Walsh, Michelle Hankerson, Nick McNamara, John Doucette, and Katherine Hafner. WFAE's Zachary Turner and WVTF's Brad Kuttner. Also, Connor Worley, who produced today's show. A reminder that you can always catch full episodes on the Weekly Edition podcast feed. You can get your news updates at WHRO.org and the WHRO Reports podcast feed. For all of us at WHRO and WHRV, I'm Jordan Christie. Have a great weekend.